That was just terrible. I mean, that was deplorable. That was like the love child of Ron Rivera and Jim Zorn. What we just saw there. That was, I mean, it was just absolutely. Well, that absolutely sucked. Pop, how you doing?
That was brutal.
Miserable.
That was brutal. And it was like a cruel joke getting that last touchdown, which was fantastic from Terry.
Incredible play.
86-yard play. This team didn't quit. They were never out of it, really. But it's just cruel, brutal.
I can't think of a worse way to spend 4 hours than watching what we just watched. I mean, that was just terrible. I mean, that was deplorable. That was like the love child of Ron Rivera and Jim Zorn. What we just saw there. That was, I mean, it was just absolutely awful on all accounts. That was a masterclass by Cliff Kingsbury and Dan Quinn on how to lose a football game. Masterclass. Yeah. Terrible from the top down. Everything that I've seen, and I've been quiet. I've been thinking it. I haven't been saying it. And I hate to take a victory lap on this. And I wouldn't even call it a victory lap because it's at the expense of my team that I love more than anything. But everything that I've seen from Cliff since the second half of that Giants game has made me go, uh-oh. All the stats, all the trends, the one-way ticket to Thailand, all of that is not a coincidence. And what we saw today tells you why all that dialogue has been going on, tells you why all that talk has been going on, tells you why he wasn't rushing to go get another head coaching job or even in the market for one. That was deplorable. And Dan Quinn just completely played possum today. It's not just the go for two situation. The challenge was awful. The challenge was awful at the time. It was a desperation play because your offense can't get anything going. Seibert should not have been playing today with that hip. Gonzalez was perfectly fine. Seibert's questionable. Seibert comes back down to earth today. Shocker. The kicker that's been on the street for 2 years misses a couple key kicks, and all of us want to act surprised because he made a few chip shots earlier in the year. Like, this was a masterclass. The team was flat. The team was terrible. Cooper Rush had 100-something yard passer rate, 100-plus passer rating through 3 quarters. So miss me with all that junk about the defense. All of it.
I agree.
Horrible.
It was every phase of the game. It was awful. I put some grades up. I'd love you to read those and then debate. Thank you for making me laugh. That line was unbelievable.
It was pretty prepared.
That was worth the price of, if you tuned in, tell your friends. That was worth it. No, you got beaten every phase. Special teams was awful. I mean, you pull within 3 minutes left. We're in this game. Still got 2 timeouts. Should have had 3. You're right. And you let a 99-yard kick return go. That was going to be my kickouts of the game. But as you'll find out later, we got a list. And I probably left some stuff out. Dan Quinn, look, nobody was good. I'm not going to sit here and argue Jaden was good. He wasn't. He looks indecisive and lost. I don't think he's getting help. I don't think Cliff has been good. I'll let you say what you said before the pod about, Jaden getting us back in the game. He definitely, I give credit for how they fought to get back in the game. I will, because for 3.5 quarters, we got our ass beat by a better team. The biggest joke and the biggest fools. Now, we made a homer pick. We took the Commanders into points. I didn't believe it, honestly.
Neither
when
of us
made the pick, I didn't believe it. I'm going to be smarter about that and stop doing the homer thing going forward because I didn't believe we were 10.5 points better. We're clearly not. I think it's a question mark if we're even better than Dallas, to be honest.
After today.
I mean, it's a big question mark. I mean, that's probably a very different story if Dak plays the game because Cooper Rush isn't good. Yeah, he had a great passer rating. He's not good. He threw balls in the dirt. He took sacks he shouldn't have took. I mean, McCarthy was trying to give us that game at the end. The way he was calling it, he was trying to give it to us. And Dan Quinn was awful today. He was awful. We got the list we'll go through. But he was terrible. I mean, it just I would say the only thing that you feel decent about the defense, but you're playing against a terrible offensive team. The defense cannot put 4 quarters together. Here's what I'm tired of, okay? We play poorly offensively, but their defense, whoever we're playing, just fill in the blank, could play well for 4th quarters and stop us. We can't do the same. We can't put 4 quarters of football together on the defensive side of the ball.
Thank you.
Stop me telling me that they're a really good defense. They aren't. We can't get the cornerback that our free agency splash or trade deadline splash. Can't get him on the field. Can't get him on. I'm sorry. It's a problem.
Yep.
Right now, it's a problem. Maybe when it all plays out, it'll be okay. The fact that we can't get that guy on the field for divisional games is a problem. Yep. It's a problem.
Can't argue with you there. I mean, I tweeted before the Cavante Turpin kick return, which is a sentence you should just never be saying, let alone. I mean, the book is out on this kid. If you kick it to him, he's going to bring one back at a certain point. He's the best returner in the NFL. Before the Cavante Turpin kick return, I tweeted, after we scored the touchdown to bring it within 3, it's 2017. I tweeted, I don't want to hear anything about the defense if they can't make a stop here. At that point, you're kicking the ball back to the other team with like 3 minutes left.
We would have made a stop.
And you had no faith.
We would have made a stop.
No faith they're able to make a stop there. They haven't. At any point in the year when you've said we just need one stop from the defense, they don't make it. So I had no faith in that moment. I had no faith in that moment because of the 4 losses that we've had now, 5 losses, if you could believe it, coming out of this game. After 5 losses that we've had this year, 4 of them, you've said, we just need to stop here, defense. And what do you get? You get Ugats. You get nothing. Luvu gets all the pass deflections in the first half. Great. Bobby Wagner runs over a few running backs in the first half. And then when you need them, you've got Tim Settle and Albert Hainsworth out there in the 4th quarter. That's who shows up.
Well, it's also, you're going to talk about all week long. You're going to talk about the schedule, right? Oh, we had 2 back-to-back games. We haven't had a bye. We didn't get a rest. It was too tough. It's great now. We're refreshed. What's your excuse today?
Yep.
You got outplayed.
You
got out-hustled. The other team clearly wanted it more. Who's got a bust of a season going? Who's probably playing for draft position. And they came out and kicked your ass on your home field. And how many years are we going to go with that happening against that frickin' team? Whether they have a good season or a bad season, they come out and they outplay us. So it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Dan Quinn did not have this team ready to play today. He didn't.
No.
He didn't. And the Love Fest, which we've been a part of, up to 7-2, is fine. But we got to keep it real.
Yeah, I mean,
and it was awful. And yeah, I agree. Jaden Daniels is not the problem. He's a rookie QB who's going to have his ups and downs. Kid's incredibly talented. What he will end up being, the story has to be written.
Yeah,
I don't know. I believe in his talent. He was killing him with his legs. We should have let him do it more. Because that was really one of the only things that was working today.
Well, I mean, Kingsbury's offense just looks like awful. I mean, stale is not even the word for that, but something I want to highlight, right? They're going down the field and the game starts, we win the toss, which it seems like we've won every coin toss this year. We always end up with the ball in the second half, but we win the toss. Dallas gets the football. They dice down the field. We finally make a stop. They go to kick a field goal. We block it, right? We get in great field position to the point where we went 7 plays for 17 yards, by the way. We were in that good of a field position. And we can't score a touchdown. And in that moment, I go, uh-oh, here we go. Dallas misses a field goal. We miss a field goal. Dallas fumbles. We punt. Dallas fumbled on the 47-yard line. And we punt. We go 3 plays for 3 yards, 45 seconds. Dallas punts. We block it. We punt again. Dallas punts. We throw a pick. Unbelievable. You can't win a football game like that. You can't win a football game like that. And that is against the Cowboys defense that is 30-something in the NFL in every category. I mean, watch the pregame pod we did. We broke it all down. This is a terrible, terrible Dallas defense. That was a joke. McLaurin is getting blanketed because Kingsbury just sets him up on the left side of the field and says, go. And so the entire defense rolls to the left side of the field to take McLaurin away because the ball can hit Noah Brown in the chest, in between the 8 and the 5. It can hit him in the nose. It can hit him in the pishadil. He doesn't catch it. Nobody on this team catches the ball. When they do catch it, Bates fumbles it over the middle in a key moment. Again, I mean, how many times was I on this podcast last year yelling about how is John Bates the guy you go to in a key moment to get down the field? And all of a sudden, John Bates is running across her. Where in the name of God is Ben Sinnott, your second-round draft pick? Where is he?
He's probably not any good.
I mean, what are we doing?
I mean, I can only assume if the guy's not out there playing, he doesn't deserve to be. But we could do the roster breakdown. Yeah, I think despite all of that, despite Bates fumbling, despite giving up a 99-yard touchdown kickoff return, only being down 3, we tied the game. I mean, if not for what did Peyton Manning call his kicker an idiot kicker, we tied the game. It was a bad snap on the
The hole was clean though. Way made the best of it.
Yeah,
Way made it work.
I mean, despite all that, we tied the game. I think it was a really bad decision not to go for 2 there. I don't see
horrible
a lot of people talking about that. I think we were gifted another potential miracle. Like I said, the one thing they didn't seem to be able to stop was Jaden's runs. He had 77 yards running. That's incredible. Despite all of that, we essentially tied the game. And like I said, it's just brutal. It was just cruel the way that thing ended. I mean, the result was probably justified. Not probably. The result was absolutely justified. Why does it have to, especially against this team, be done in the cruelest possible fashion possible?
Yeah. Ball don't lie. Ball don't lie. I said it after the Chicago game. Felt like we beat them. We got the bounces. Ball don't lie. We got smoked today. It was bad. We were the worst team on the field today, period. And
no doubt.
We had an opportunity to get into it because they have, you want to talk about a bad coach, they have an absolute disaster of a head football coach over there in Dallas and Mike McCarthy. And he attempted to give us this game.
He tried to
at every turn. At every turn.
He tried to give it to us.
He tried to give it to us. And it's really, I'm doing my best not to say unkind things about him unrelated to his football skills here. You could
he outcoached our guy. He outcoached our guy.
By a mile.
He outcoached our guy. As bad as he was.
Our guy couldn't decide if he wanted to puke or pee on himself the whole game. He couldn't even make a decision on that. He couldn't even make a decision if he wanted to vomit or pee. That was how bad he was today.
You're seeing a different side of the boys today.
Boys are all
fine. You're seeing a different side of the boys.
I mean, that challenge. Why? What's the point? It's a close game. It's a grinder. That's a bang call at best. His challenges have been awful this year. Awful. Rivera-esque. awful. And that challenge was no different. I mean, you're talking about the difference between getting the ball on the 25 versus the ball on the 45 or the 40.
Yeah, they were never going to reverse. They were never going to reverse that call. That's the thing. Like, people trying to make an argument that it was a good challenge, and I think situationally, there's some reporters that report for the team that argued it was a good challenge. You're wrong. I'm sorry.
I agree.
Look. You might just think I'm somebody that's just doing a podcast with my son, which is true. I've watched this football team since I can remember as a kid. I've watched a ton of football too. I played as well. You've got to have situational awareness. And in that situation, you've got to know that you're going to need those timeouts. You have to know that. You can't take a 50-50 call challenge in a close game. You got to stop. You were going to get the ball back in good field position.
Exactly.
It's an awful decision. I don't know how anybody, it blows my mind how anybody would make an argument that was a good challenge.
If the ball was past the sticks and that was for a first down, maybe. But it's an incomplete pass. It's like in the Ravens game when McLaurin took that giant hit on the catch that he got for first down, and the entire stadium erupted because they didn't end up calling the flag. And me and you are looking at each other going, that was an incredible catch for a first down. It's like that. It's like, did anybody realize that the drive was over right there? The drive was over. They were going to punt. Like,
he got bailed out because, look, as much as we're going to say that Terry play was amazing, which it was. In the end, taking that challenge didn't much matter because we scored that touchdown that, like I said, what should have been tie the game. Or if we had any Polinas, go for a victory there. But doesn't change the fact it was a horrible decision. Like you said, he threw up all over himself today. And like I said, you spent your week saying the reason we are on a 2-game losing streak was because of the schedule and because the guys are beat up, because, Jaden was nicked and didn't get practice time. What's your excuse now?
Got your entire team healthy.
If you go out, listen, we actually waited to try to hear the presser. They're running really late. I don't know. It was emotional locker room.
B. Mitch had Cliff by the throat. That's why they're running late.
If new ownership went in the locker room, threw some Gatorade buckets over. I hope they did. But, you shouldn't be anything. Dan Quinn shouldn't be anything but pissed off. And what he says publicly doesn't matter, but he should be nothing but pissed with this team. Look, we said at the beginning of the year what we thought this team was, maybe a 7, 8, 9 win team. We're trending in that direction. It's certainly not over yet. They can turn it around. But this team is not a team that plays well as, as a heavy favorite, especially in a divisional game. These divisional games, regardless of the record, you've got to plan on them being dogfights.
Well,
maybe they believe the press clippings a little bit too much. Maybe they believe the spread a little too much. I don't know.
This was a team that played well against when they were heavily favored all year. This was. We kicked the snot out of Cleveland. We kicked the snot out of Arizona. We kicked the snot out of the Giants both times.
We're not 10.5 points better than Dallas.
We wrecked the Cardinals, who are a good team, by the way. Like, it's just what we've seen over the last 3 weeks, and I said it in the Philly game, and Pop was more on the roster and the outmanned thing.
I still am.
I agree. I agree.
Still
the roster and outmanned thing. We also didn't show up. I said it against the Pittsburgh game. I tried to, put a little water on it, say, hey, tough team. This is a 5 alarm bell. I don't want to hear another word about playoffs. I don't want to hear another word about seeding and about, can we still win the division? I don't want to hear any of that. Barring this team blowing out Tennessee by 30 points next week, I don't want to hear squat about any of that, because this right now is a house on fire, and not in the way it was for the first 9 weeks of the season. This is a disaster.
and reality is what it is, right? I mean, the tape is out there on how to beat us. And this is 3 weeks in a row, at least, right, where teams have just loaded the box.
Yep.
And just dared us to throw the ball downfield. And we don't have an answer.
And we
don't have an answer.
What blows my mind,
whether that's Jaden not letting it go because he doesn't want to make a mistake, whether that's there was one, it was actually a completion to Noah Brown down the field where you look at the routes the wide receivers are running. They did the zoom out view. And all Noah Brown and Terry McLaurin ran the same route. It was just,
go,
stop, and turn around. That was it. That's all Cliff. You had on that play. Like, I don't know.
That's Kingsbury.
Yeah.
That's Cliff.
And we've got 5 to play.
Criticism of him.
The story of this season is still yet to be written in full. But there's a lot to be concerned about. But I also think there's a lot of holes on the roster. The offensive line is not good. The defensive line is okay. The secondary is god-awful. The receivers are not that great. There are one guy. Your draft picks. Does everybody think we've got our left tackle of the future on the team? I don't know.
Well, what we've been doing with
you've got 2 guys, I think, that I can think of that are really contributing at a high level. Maybe 3, maybe Newton. I don't know. I haven't really heard his name called a lot.
Hell no.
But
no.
Sanistrill and Jaden, right? So
that's no disrespect to Johnny. I wouldn't want to run into him in an alleyway, but yeah, no, Johnny's not playing well. Yeah. And his real injury optimism draft pick there has not.
Draft picks are draft picks, right? Some are going to hit, some
You're swinging.
Yeah.
And just because a guy, Newton's had flashes, and that's all you could really expect from rookies is you just hope they have some good flashes and they can start to build. Sanders still, I think, is a stud.
He's playing great.
I think Jaden's a stud. I think when you get Sanderstill and Lattimore opposite each other in that back end of the secondary, if Lattimore decides he wants to play football ever again, I think when you get those 2 back there, it's going to look different. At this point, I don't think you see Lattimore until after the bye. I don't think you beat the Tennessee Titans next week. I think you're looking at 7-6 in the bye week and pretty much needing to win out.
You can beat the Titans if you play like it's a must-win situation and you play as if you're up against a team that's every bit as good as you. We didn't play that way today. We didn't play like it was a must-win situation, and we didn't respect the opponent.
If this team cannot get up against your biggest division rival, who your head coach left to come coach you this year, when Quinn left Dallas, he said, I want the Commander's job. He left Dallas to come get this job. If your team cannot get up against that, how am I supposed to believe we're going to get up against the Tennessee Titans?
If you go, I just want to ask you a question, honest question. You go up and down the Cowboys roster, and you go up and down our roster. You're honest about it. Just talent for talent, player for player. We're not better than they are. We're just not.
Well, that's evident today.
We're not. So you've got to play in a way that you understand that. And maybe we got set up by the press. Maybe we got set up by Vegas.
That's junk.
Blah, blah.
If any of that is
you've
true,
you've got to play these games like you got to respect the opponent's ability. Any one of who had Cleveland beating the Steelers, right? I mean, that moment, that Thursday night game scared me more than anything coming into this week, because it was like, we're going to blow them out. Well, no, we're not. No, we're not. And like I said, I probably need to do a better job on the podcast, staying real, because in my heart, and it's not on tape. So what's on tape is that I thought we would blow them out. But I really didn't think that. I think I even said it. But anyway.
Bottom line is, man, it's just not where you want to be. Let's talk a little bit of that end of game situation, and then I say let's get into the awards, because I think in the heat of all of this, we didn't necessarily break that down, and I think that is as egregious of an example as any. We had no business being in that position, and I wasn't even so upset when Seibert missed it, honestly, because I thought we had no business winning the game. I had no faith that we win the game in overtime. But let's talk about that. Your team has been atrocious all day. Your kicker has missed an extra point, has missed a field goal today, and is dealing with a bum hip. You have an opportunity to go up 1 point to win the game, which, by the way, in our previous 2-point conversion, Jaden might still be running. Jaden is halfway to Alexandria right now on the previous 2-point conversion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you kick the ball.
That was a bad decision.
What in the name of God are you thinking? You have an opportunity to steal one. You get a blessing. I mean, they dropped 11 into coverage, and McLaurin all of a sudden turns on the Jets like he used to in the Gruden era and flies past everybody. Amazing to see that from Terry. But, like, what? I mean, it's just, in the context of everything, that could not have been a more soft, weak-minded decision made in that moment right there.
I agree. I mean, I said it earlier. I don't understand it. If there was ever a time to go for two, that was it. Simon had already missed an extra point. I mean, he did make that field goal, which I guess turned out to be a good decision, where we went for a field goal there. The other decision I didn't get is going for a field goal down 10.
Onside kicking.
And then onside kicking right after that. I didn't understand that. Like, to me, the decision to go to the field goal is I want to leave enough time on the clock because I got 2 timeouts. If I can get a quick stop, I got 40 seconds left. Don't you want to have 30, 40 seconds left with good field position? That worked out. Again, Terry bailed them out, or horrible defense by the Cowboys, depending on what side of the argument it is. But
no, it's just
I think I was beautifully sorry, I was checking some of the breaking news that I'm hearing related to injuries, but
yeah,
I think it was beautifully stated by you, or beautifully broken down by you. It's
and prior to that, I mean, you look at, like, and here's where I will say, I do think we are better than the Cowboys. Didn't see it today.
I don't think we are.
Didn't see it today. I do think if you go over the 53 that played today for Washington and the 53 that played today, we're talking they're missing Diggs, they're missing Zach Martin, they're missing key guys on that team today. Dak, of course. I think if you go through the 53, I do think we're better. And I think the fact that you look at any one of the 27 times we puked on ourselves at the end of that game, if any one of those things, I mean, the Kevontae Turpin kick return, dude was stopped, spun in place, and shook 11 dudes out of his boots, and he never should have had the ball kicked to him in that situation. You are trying to save clock. That ball has to go out of the back of the end zone.
But I will say it's set up perfectly, right? He's bobbling the ball at the 1 yard line. You can get him, you can pin him in deep, and we got 3 minutes left on the clock. So
no, you don't play that game, in my opinion. You put that ball out of the back of the end zone. This is the most dangerous returner in the NFL. You have to know that. You know why they don't put the ball out of the back of the end zone, Pop? You know why? You want to know the hard reality? Your professional football kicker cannot kick the ball 60 yards. That's the reality. He can't do it. He can't do it. That's the reality. That's unacceptable. That is unacceptable. I don't want to hear about the McManus lawsuit. I don't want to hear about guys getting hurt in training camp. That is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. You have a kicker that cannot kick the ball out of the back of the end zone to avoid a dangerous returner. And that's what you get. That's what you get. And you've got a special teams unit that is so eager to get down there and knock somebody's head off, they can't identify, hey, situational football, if he gets to the 35, not the end of the world, but we cannot let him get behind us. Terrible at every turn. But we can go around in circles on it. Unfortunately, there's so many things to highlight just how bad and just how wrong it was. We probably talk for an hour here. We've already gone for 30 minutes, but let's get through some keynotes injury wise. Eckler took that ball out of the end zone at the end of the game, took a nasty, nasty hit. Sobering moment as you're upset about the outcome of the game. You realize these guys are people too. Scary to see him go down like that. Nice to see him at least get up and walk off. He's in the hospital with a concussion. Out of respect to Eckler, I don't want to assume that's his second one of the year. You saw the nature of the way he went down. Brian Robinson did not play in the second half after that injury. You saw him suffer right at the beginning of the game. Speaking of guys that have been hurt all year, that sucks. Offensive line is beat up from top to bottom. Biadish did not finish the game or is out with a concussion. Wiley has a concussion.
Not good.
Good time for a bye week, I guess.
Still got one more game to play between now and then.
Yep, and that is why I think we lose that game. Would be
we got a pregame pod. We can predict that one.
Yeah. Good news is, for those of you who are on a tight schedule, we're not doing awards today, so we don't need to spend a ton of time on the award segment. I texted Pop and I just said I refuse to do an award segment. If you'd like to shout anybody out, I mean, totally Luvu had a great first half, and then they just game planned him out of the game in the second half. Stop me if you've heard that one before. Defense battled up to a point, couldn't sustain it. I think we spent the entirety of the game talking about the kickouts of the game. We've highlighted all the stuff I have on the outline here. No offensive game plan. Cliff Kingsbury sucks until further notice as far as I'm concerned. We gave up a 99-yard kickoff return after pulling it to within 3 with 3 minutes left. That's unacceptable. Austin Seibert stinks. Again, he's in the Cliff Kingsbury bucket for me. Dan Quinn, game management, horrific. Just terrible. Rivera-esque. I got nothing left. I mean, the entire thing just unravels itself as it goes by. I can't remember the last time we've been in the last 2 minutes of a football game with all 3 of our timeouts. Terrible. So the kickout of the game is from kickoff to end of the game. The kickout of the game is that we all spent 4 hours on this, and then, you know, the only bright spot is I get to sit here with my pop and do this podcast, and then the kickouts will pick right back up when I got to edit it after this. But man,
I did make a sauce today.
That's something.
It was kind of a game time decision, but I did make a sauce. So
we're in conservation mode until Thanksgiving over here. So no sauce.
Yeah, it's an awful feeling. I mean, Terps got a good win. If that's any in basketball. Not in football, of course. Football's awful. But I think I've said everything I need to say. I think I would probably just be repeating myself. At the end of the day, if there's any consolation that I feel, I want to try to end on a somewhat positive note, because just to give a little bit of balance to this thing, I do like how we battled back. I do like how we fought. I do like how Jaden kept fighting. Yeah, he was really good with his legs. And I do think season's in front of us. We still got a soft schedule. It doesn't change. Division's gone, but, you know, we can still get back in this thing, but we got to start playing a lot better. And right now my confidence is super low that we can do that.
But the nature of the way
maybe it balances out, right? Maybe we were way better than we thought we were early, and we were a lot worse than we thought. If we can find the middle somewhere and battle, we still got a chance.
Bottom line is 3-game losing streak in November is just not going to leave you feeling very good. And I would say that with the nature of the way this season started at 7-2, there's just not a lot of outcomes as of today where you feel like you leave the season with a positive taste in your mouth. But that is for the rest of the year to dissect. We will have to have some dialogue about pregame potting. But you'll hear from us at some point next week, just with the holiday and with everything. Don't know how things are going to line up schedule-wise. Me and Pop going to chop it up when we get off here. But, guys, stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for Bada Bets and all kinds of fun stuff, all kinds of good stuff. It's all coming to you live from Dom and Pop at some point in the next week. Don't forget, the best way you can make sure you don't miss us with any schedule volatility is to smash that subscribe button, hit that like button, let the people know, let the algorithm know you enjoy watching the boys and suffering through what has been a disastrous few weeks here for the Commanders. But only way to turn it around is to keep playing, I guess. So let's get on to Tennessee. Everybody 24-hour rule. Find something else to do. I'm going to go hit some golf balls because Lord knows that always makes me feel better. And let's wrap this thing up, man. What do you say, Pop?
Let's do it.
All right. Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
And hail to the Commanders.
Hail.